Good evening and welcome to the Freehold Regional High School District Board of Education reorganization meeting. The first order of business this evening is to administer the oath of office to the 3 new board members. I will do that at this time. Okay.
You can share mine.
Okay, so I'll share. Listen, why don't we line up and get this one? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And to the governments established in the United States and this state.
And to the governments established in the United States and this state.
Under the authority of the people, so help me God.
Under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I, Marianne Tamazic, do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education.
That I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education.
And that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office.
And that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Welcome to the Board of Education. As the new members find their seats at the table, please stand and join me for the salute of the flag, and also remain standing as we lost a staff member, Mr. Adam Ferguson, over the weekend. So a moment of silence if you could remain standing. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975. This meeting has been duly advertised in the Asbury Park Press, issue of May 6, 2011. All municipal clerks of the townships and boroughs within the regional high school districts have been duly notified, and the requirements of postings of notices have been met. The next item of business that is in order is a call for nominations for the office of President of the Board of Education. I will at this time entertain nominations for the office of President.
I'd like to nominate Heshi Moses.
Mrs. Sutera nominates Mr. Moses.
I second it.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the nominations. Move that the nominations be closed and the secretary be instructed to cast a unanimous vote to elect Mr. Heshi Moses as president. Mr. Moses, you can assume the chair. The vote is on your vote. Okay, very good. So we will have a formal vote. The motion on the floor is Mr. Moses as President of the Board of Education. Mr. Asatola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Yes. Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomazic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Moses, the next item of business is to elect the Vice President of the Board of Education. And that would be your responsibility.
We need a nomination for Vice President Board Ed. I'd like to nominate Jen for
I'll
Vice President.
second it.
Are there any other nominations?
You can declare nominations closed.
Nominations are now closed, and we'd like to take a vote now.
Mr. S., the motion on the table is Mrs. Sutera as Vice President of Board of Education. Mr. Asatola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomazic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Very good. The motion to go, I'm sorry. Motion to approve item number 6.
We need a motion to approve item number 6, approval of organization meetings, action items. Make a motion.
I'll second it. Yes.
Any discussions?
Yes.
In pertaining to attachment 3, 6C, I will be recusing myself from the discussion and vote for lawyer, auditor, and insurance company because all three are contracted by Linden Public Schools, which I have a relative serving as superintendent.
Is that an abstention or voting?
Attachment in the back.
Mr. Tomazic, just as when there's a conflict, as you noted, the vote is not yes or no or abstention. It's present, no, vote taken.
Okay.
Okay, so I will record your vote that way on those items.
Call for a vote on the,
That's
So,
weird.
yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
any other discussion?
any other discussion?
I'd like to take the attorneys off the attachment. I thought we weren't voting for attorneys at this point.
Maybe I can handle that. Mr. Sutera, what the motion represents is it's a formality to keep the attorneys in place until June 30th of this year. It's not for next year. The board, as you know, is in the process of evaluating proposals received for the legal services. So it is from now till June 30th, 2011.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take a vote.
Mr. Asatola?
Could I ask Sean some more clarification on what we're voting on? I'm sorry, I just don't understand the vote on this one.
Maybe you should see the attachments in the back here. One, two, and three. Yeah. Attachment 1, 2.
I got it.
2 and 3.
1, 2. Yes.
So,
Thank you. He said yes. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomazic?
Yes, with the exception of the 3 that I mentioned.
So noted. Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Very good. Now a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
So moved.
The motion. Do you mind if I do this? The motion will be to go into executive session to discuss the items advertised in the Asbury Park Press. The time, we expect to return at 8 o'clock to deal with the remainder of the agenda.
Jen was second.
Second.
Mary, second.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
Second.
Mr. Acetola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomasic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Very good, we are in executive.
Is something which the board will deliberate about in the future, and if there is an adjustment to be made to the compensation of any or all of these individuals, that will be an action that will be taken in the future. Tonight's action with respect to the non-unit employees will simply be to reappoint them for the coming year, but at the same compensation level as today.
If I may, just identify those people that Mr. Edelstein has alluded to, and then I also have two other one addendum and one amendment to the agenda, and I'll note that prior to the public participation portion of the meeting. The list of people that Mr. Edelstein mentioned be reappointed at their identical salary: Sean Boyce, Donna Evangelista, Nicole Hazel, Suzanne Kegler, Jeffrey Moore, Joseph Robinson, Jason Schimpf, Jennifer Sharp, James Burns, Donald Marquise, Patricia Resnick, Alex Ferreira, Patrick LaGraveness, Lauren Wiedenheimer, Dawn Anderson, Kathy Barkalow, Cynthia Beatty, Shaquilla Butler, Colleen LaBruno, Patricia Matthews, Amanda Santos, Alexis Cruz, Anne Marie McDonald, Jennifer Pinter, Carmelyn Solkowitz, Nancy Slattery, Michael Duncan, David Loring, and Gregory Penzak. As I mentioned, there's one addendum, which is on the yellow sheet of paper in the back of the room. It's approved to participate in the SEMI program, which is the Special Education Medicaid Initiative. The board may recall that we included this as an item of revenue in our budget. Also, just on page 9 of the agenda for Cynthia Wood, if you could change the start date of 5/3 to May 10th, from May 3rd to May 10th. Also on page 29, attachment 4, there's an addition. Donna Desena, D-E-S-E-N-A, bus driver, step 5, salary $21,400. That's all I have, Mr. Moses.
Thank you. All right.
Can I just make a clarification? Did you say James Quirk also as a salary to be?
He's not included on that list. He's not on the agenda. I don't believe he's on the agenda list.
Okay, that brings us to the public participation. I don't know if this goes with Robert's rules. I'm a pretty informal person, so I call people by their first names. Barry, you can call me Heshy too,
Barry Hoffberg, Marlboro, and hello again from this side of the dais. I'd like to first congratulate the new members of the Board of Education from Marlboro, Cold Neck, and Freehold. And I do hope that you find your positions as rewarding as I did the past 2 years. Let me first say that I am glad that my request of the past 2 years to have all the salaries put on the agenda has finally shown up. Should have been like this all along. Thank you very much. I was going to talk about the salaries that you have mentioned just now. I will say that if you review them, please remember that I was on the negotiations for the past 2 years, and in the highest units, we only went up to 2.9%, and to keep that in mind as you go forward. Thank you.
Next we have Helena.
Ellen Hoffberg, Marlboro resident. Good evening, everyone. I would also like to welcome the new board members from Coltsneck, Freehold, and Marlborough. Congratulations to Board President Mr. Moses and Vice President Mrs. Satara. At this time, I'd like to ask a few questions. Respectfully, I would like to get an update on a previous agenda item. Several months ago, I asked Mr. Schwartz for the status of an appeal made on the repayment of the settlement by the insurance company in the litigation between Bonnie Sue Rosenwald and this district. At that time, Mr. Rosenwald told Mr. Schwartz told the public that $100,000 was offered to this district. As the legal team felt this offer was insufficient, Mr. Schwartz told the public that an appeal would be filed. Where are we in the appeal process with this insurance company? How much money will be returned to this district, and are we ever going to see it? And I was also looking for information. What was the total expenditure on the legal expenses in that litigation, which I still have not received any papers on? Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I would think, I would like to do things a little differently, and that it would be to answer, instead of waiting till the end to answer right away. So, am I allowed to do that?
Whatever.
Not allowed?
Yeah, I'll check policy.
Okay, well, he's going to check policy later, so stay right there, Helen.
I can certainly answer your question. It's not actually an appeal. The insurance company did offer $100,000, that being what they viewed as their policy limit. We viewed it differently, and there has been filed what's called a declaratory judgment action. It's a lawsuit in the Superior Court which demands that a judge determine whether there should be something greater than $100,000 made available to the board. $100,000 is the floor. There have been very active settlement discussions with the insurance company, and I would expect that very, very shortly, within weeks, that there'll be a recommendation to the board of a larger amount to accept. I can't answer the other question. I mean, it's recapturable information, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
All right, next we have Gloria Close.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the 3 new board members elected, Mr. Asatalo, Ms. Talmasik, and Mr. Messenger, and also congratulate Mr. Heshi and Mr. Terra for taking the president and vice president. On April 29th, I downloaded your agenda plus the 4 attachments online for the March 2nd reorg, but was canceled and rescheduled tonight. Upon reviewing the attachment 4, I was appalled at what I read regarding pay increases for the administration's office, some of which went as high as 28%. I took the salary from last year and compared them to what is being offered tonight. I did my comparison based on the last year reorg agenda and this current reorg agenda. The Assistant Business Administrator, Jason Swim, from $99,900 to $128,051, a jump of $28,151. Jennifer Sharp, I only took certain names here, of Human Resources, $105,833 to $128,051, a jump of $22,218. Mr. Jeffrey Moore, Administrative Supervisor, Curriculum and Instruction, $102,225 to $129,051, a jump of $27,026.
Gloria, I will give you your time to speak, and please don't take it that I'm being rude, but we didn't do that.
We're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
But I just trying, I know it is on the agenda, that's why I'm trying to discuss this with you. No matter what decision you agreed upon in closed session, I respect that. But I'm just trying to bring this up. Since it appeared on the agenda and I made a comparison, I'd like the public to be aware of this kind of salary, that if we did not touch it, can just be approved tonight. And that's why I did my research and I did a comparison. I will stop now comparing all these salary increases, which is unbearable to think of. Okay, and one last thing though. I know Mr. Sean Boyce getting from 168, that's the last one, 168,653, jumping to 175,000. The governor capped the salary for the superintendent for 175. They can maneuver it based on the number of population of the district. But then what's going to happen? If you maintain it to 175, how will the governor succeed in capping the superintendent when our assistant is already up there? And then the following year, he will be exceeding. And that is my big question, which I will contact the governor's office. Also here, I know this is contractual. For the principal of Manalapan, there is a raise here of 66,430. I know this is contractual, but then I question the Manalapan High School. We did fail one subject, and I hope that that will be addressed before you consider giving raises. Now, can I continue? The budget was defeated last year. According to one of Mr. Boy's budget presentations, there was 1.8 stimulus money that was applied, plus the state aid was tremendously increased. The pay to participate fees was put on hold, provided the budget is passed. When the budget passed, no programs were cut, no teachers were laid off, and I said to myself, well, maybe this is now all about the children. Then I read this, I am disgusted. I would like to remind this administration that we are still in the worst recession. People who lost their jobs have not found jobs yet. The senior citizens who are living on fixed income and receiving Social Security have not received raises the last 2 years. What I'm trying to tell this board and the administration is that we, the taxpayers, had it, and we're still hurting paying these taxes. Taxpayers supported the budget because we thought it was all for the kids. Who gets this kind of raises should this be implemented? If you get 1 or 2%, you should consider yourself lucky. 28% or 28,000 plus for this year's salary is unheard and uncalled for. Also on page 20 of your agenda, this bill of list, I have requested on numerous board meetings to please put this online. Tonight I walked in there, I got this copy, and on your agenda, I believe on page 20, you will be approving this. This did not give the public time to review, to examine, or to ask questions if it be needed. Now, I would suggest now to please put this online, so that I myself, I like to look at all these bills and questions, I will have the time to do that. But walking in here at 7:30 does not give anybody time to go over this, but in fact, we will be approving it tonight. Now, if there's a question, you already approved the bills, and that's our dilemma. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Leon.
Leon Sloan, I also would like to welcome all the new members to the board. I hope we can somehow coexist in a better climate than what the last campaign dragged us through. I would also want to make a comment. Ms. Edelstein basically changed almost my entire presentation. If that's the case, then why wasn't that on the agenda? The only thing that was on the agenda that many of us came prepared to speak about were these, what appeared to be astronomical raises for the administrators.
Right, is that, I mean, I can answer that question if you like. This is a new board. As you know, whenever a board organizes, it's a new board. So tonight was the very first opportunity that Dr. Kegler, as the superintendent, had to discuss this with the board. She had no opportunity before then, between the last meeting before the election and tonight. There was no board for her to meet with to review this. She raised these questions. The board appropriately deliberated about them in executive session because they're personnel items, and came out with the outcome which I described.
So the outcome of that discussion was not to implement the raises that were listed on the agenda?
As to the
non-administrators. Right.
Yes, that's correct.
But you left the door open that these raises could be implemented down the road.
I don't know that I referred to these raises. I left the door open that there could be.
So those numbers are totally inaccurate that were listed. So in effect, it's a non-issue, correct?
Right.
Okay, I'll take it at your word for that. So then I'll drop down to the second part of what I had prepared. To me, and to several other people, your first order of business this evening should have addressed the presence or lack of presence of Ms. Evangelista. Why is she still an assistant superintendent of curriculum? By this time, you should have come up with a way to remove her position from this board. The fact that she is still the last vestige of the previous Bryan State Alumni Group is an embarrassment to everybody. And I'll leave it at that.
Do you want to address them? No. Okay. Sorry, I stole that.
No comment?
No. I had a comment, but it's not legal, so.
I do too.
Jim Sage?
Jim Sage, Marlboro. Well, you kind of trumped my speech, but you said this should be discussed in the future. These.
Let me just repeat what I said, not on your time. What I said was that the appointments now will be at exactly the same level of compensation that they are at, and the board may choose in the future to deliberate about whether there should be any adjustments, and if so, what they should be. But as of this moment, the reappointment is at exactly their current salary.
If they do consider a pay increase, would it be retroactive to today?
That would, the pay year starts on July 1. So, but even the increases you see on the agenda are in effect today.
I don't know if this is a case of shooting for the moon and hoping to land somewhere in between, but I'm going to assume those pay raises are going to be considered. Anyway, I'd like to welcome Carl, Mary Ann, Mike, to the board. Heshi, congratulations. Jen, congratulations. I just wanted to discuss the agenda item that includes, in my opinion, these outrageous and unreasonable pay hikes for certain members of this district, which was supposed to be voted on tonight. I was hoping it was voted on tonight, not deferred or tabled due to obvious resistance and anger as I have seen and spoken to people outside and what I've been seeing written on the blogs. There is a rumor that this matter was going to await the seating of the new superintendent, and I felt it shouldn't. This responsibility is in the purview of the board, and it should have been voted on today. Having said that, I was on the Freehold Regional High School District Budget Information website that states a responsible plan for challenging times. On April 27th, the voters of Western Monmouth County approved our 11-12 budget. Thanks for your support. The district's 11-12 budget contains no increase in the general tax fund levy, defers participation fees for athletic and extracurricular activities, does not cut any school programs or services, and reduces spending in every area except instruction. Mr. Boyce was quoted somewhere on there that the budget strategically lays the foundation for long-term success by considering the diverse perspective of our stakeholder groups. Don't be fooled by that quote. It was an agenda to approve ridiculous pay raises for a certain small class of employees. Once the state aid was increased and the budget approved by taxpayers. Perfect example, as Ms. Close said, Mr. Jason Schimm, Assistant School BA, salary going from $99,900 to a proposed $128,000, 28% increase. Mr. Moore, going from 102 to 129, 27% increase. Ms. Sharp of Human Resources, going from 105 to 128, a 21% increase. I could go on, but I don't think I have the time to do so. Ladies and gentlemen of this board, I know there was a freeze last year, but this madness and grab for more money to compensate for the freeze must come to an end. We are in the throes of the worst economic environment in the history of this country. I've been attending meetings on a regular basis now for 3 years, and this board just can't seem to say no when it comes to pay raises. During the last 2 years, recipients of Social Security, as Ms. Flo said, have been denied any COLA adjustments because the CPI hasn't gone up. 2 years in a row. This hasn't happened, I don't think, in the last 30 or 40 years. My title with the federal government, I haven't had a pay raise in 8 years. I've learned to live with it. We're currently seeing people lose homes, lose jobs, and take pay increases for what they formerly did. We currently have a sitting assistant superintendent who, again, is missing from that chair, who should have been fired for what she did. She has to offer an explanation, an apology, and a refund of the money that she got with a phony degree. No one has said that they're going to take the money back. No one has said it was wrong. No one has said, let's get rid of her. She should not even be employed by this district. She would have been fired for what she did in the private sector. And yet, she has a greedy handout looking for more money when she hasn't returned money from the past. I strongly urge all board members to vote down this resolution, whether it's today, in the future, and let people live within their means. I propose 0%, not 2%, 0%. Thank you.
Next up, we have Ronald McCullough.
Hi, my name is Ronald McCullum. I'm a resident of Howell, and what I have to bring to your attention tonight certainly pales in comparison with what others had to say this evening. But I would ask that the board review the senior prom rules and regulations and the administration of those rules, particularly in regard to Howell. Specifically, the number one item on their rules, and I wish I had thought to bring copies for all of you to read, but let me just say that it states, student may invite an outside guest provided that the guest is a high school student and or no older than 20 years of age. All guests must have a signed permission slip that is approved by the building principal or administrators. Okay. This past week, my son's girlfriend asked the administration of Howell High School if she could take my son to the prom, and she was denied. He is a former student of Howell High School, and I would ask the good doctor to recall the meeting that we all attended a year and a half ago in which my son, my wife, and I were asked to leave the property of Howell High School and not return. Okay, my son did not willingly drop out of Howell High School. He was asked to leave. And now, because of that, his girlfriend is being told that she can't attend the prom. In fact, it was even suggested that she date somebody else. So, in light of the fact that the bids are due in and permission slips are due in this coming Friday, I would request that the board review the rules and the ambiguity with which they're written and speak to the administrators at Howell High School about their decision.
Next up, we have Ian McCollum.
I'm Ian McCollum. a resident of Powell. That was my father who just spoke. A year and a half ago, I was a junior in Howell High School and had a bunch of excused absences at the beginning of my junior year. And I just could not attend school, and we had a meeting with the administration, and at the end of that meeting we were asked to leave the school. The vice principal escorted me to my locker, I got my stuff, and then they escorted us out. And now because of that, the principal is saying I can't attend prom with my girlfriend because I dropped out. And I see nowhere in the rules saying that a dropout cannot attend with someone that goes to that school. Thank you.
I just have one comment. I was told that I don't know who just said it had to be a student of the high school. If you're 20 years old, you're not a student of the high school, no matter what high school. I just know that you have to be no older. You cannot be 21 and be able to be asked to a high school prom. That's what I've heard, not that you're a student of the high school and 20 years old. I don't know where that is. All I was informed was that you cannot be 21 and attend one of our high school proms.
Right, so it doesn't matter where you
So
go.
that means we have to get rid of the high school student out of the, right? Out of this whole situation here. It's not high school student, it's that you cannot be 21 years old and be part of our prom.
You should be allowed.
Right?
And the age is not a concern with you, is that correct?
Right, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so we're going to have to check with the building principal.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Through the chair, I have a question for Ian. Ian?
Yeah.
Over here. Good to see you again. Just for clarification, are you enrolled in any school in the district right now?
No.
Okay. Girlfriend's 20?
She's 18.
She's 18 at Howell High School?
Yes.
So she can go,
Yes.
you can. That's what you were told, just for clarification.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I will check into that with the principal of Howell High School and get back to you, your father or yourself.
Next up is Bethany Jacobs.
I'm Beth Jacobs from Howell. I am actually Ian McCollum's girlfriend. I am 17 years old and I am a senior at Howell High. I wanted to make sure that it was okay that my boyfriend was able to attend prom with me. And I made an appointment and I was told no. Not once, but twice. And I was not even able to talk and be able to figure out and understand why he wasn't allowed. And it's my senior prom. I did not go to my junior prom, of course for money reasons, but I believe that he should be allowed to come with me to my senior prom. I would understand that if it was on school property, I would understand that. It is not on school property, even though it is a function of the school. But I believe that he does have the right to come with me to prom. And if you can explain to me why that wouldn't be allowed, that would be wonderful.
Bethany, I just have a question. I know there's always two sides to a story. They gave you no reason whatsoever.
They told me that it was because he didn't want to come to school. That is what I was told, that the reason he wasn't allowed to go with me to prom was that he felt that he didn't have to come to school and that he didn't want to come to school, and that's why he dropped out, and that's why he's not allowed to come.
Okay, we're going to have to talk to
Thank you.
Okay, David Lewis.
name is David Lewis. I'm a resident of Powell. I have one child who's currently a junior at Field Township High School, and a second who will be entering as a freshman in the fall. I'm also a member of the FRHSD Music Parents Association. We have heard that the administration intends to change the curriculum for the band and the honors band classes starting in the upcoming school year by removing marching band from the curriculum. As we understand it, this change was made by central office administration without consulting with the band teachers or the music supervisors in the schools. It was also made after students selected their electives for the upcoming school year, and as far as I know, it has not yet been announced or communicated to students and parents. As a supporter of music education, I strongly disagree with this change and would urge the board to not approve it. Participation in marching band is an integral part of the band curriculum, and its removal would damage both the band classes and the marching bands. Experience at other schools has shown that removing marching band from the band class curriculum results in a significant decrease in participation in the marching band, potentially to the point where some schools are unable to even field a marching band. Removing marching band from the curriculum will reduce the amount of instruction time available for the marching band music, reducing the quality of the performances and lowering the educational value provided to the students who do participate in the marching band. Most importantly, performance is an integral part of band instruction. In fact, performances are listed as a means of assessment for 7 of the 9 elements of the curriculum map for the band and honors band classes. In the 2010-2011 school year, the FTHS band, for example, is performing 14 times between football games, the district festival, competitions, parades, and concerts, giving the band instructor 14 performances to use for student assessments. Removing marching band from the curriculum would reduce this number to 2. I feel it's inappropriate for central office administration to change the band and honors band curriculum in this manner, especially without the input of the instructors and the supervisors who are responsible for implementing the curriculum and assessing the students. Should the administration continue to recommend this change, I would urge the board to not approve it. Thank you.
David, the person that I believe made the decision on that was Assistant Superintendent Donna D'Angelisa. So we will, I'll try to find out, you know. Thank you. And the last person on here is Carol Fox.
Carol Fox, Marlboro. Congratulations to all the new seated members. I can only hope that things improve in relations between the board and all the towns. We have seen improvement in the past couple of years, and hopefully it will get better and better. On that note, I am quite discouraged to see meetings only once a month. That, to me, says you're closing out the public. You can't be bothered to be here more than once a month. Most boards that I know of meet once a week. We cut from twice a month to once a month. This is truly unacceptable. It's definitely closing out the public. That's number one. Number two, I'm also curious why there is always an attorney present. I also am not aware of many Board of Education meetings that have attorneys, and I was just wondering what the necessity was.
Okay. You want to answer the last one? I'll answer the first one. You want to answer that?
Sure. It's a pretty common occurrence, actually, for attorneys to attend school board meetings. We represent close to 100 school districts and attend meetings for most of them, frankly. The structure of our retainer agreement here is such that we don't charge by the hour for attending board meetings, whether we have 1 lawyer or 10 lawyers here. So it's, you know, that may be your experience, but I think...
maybe you would charge less if you didn't come.
I think the experience...
It's very important.
I think the experience around the state is quite different from your observation of it. And, you know, if you listen to what goes on at a board that's as complex as this one, I think it's well warranted.
Hopefully, if the board is more upfront and honest, we won't need your services, but no disrespect intended.
Carol, from the first comment that you made, before even my first year, I know we had meetings once a month, but I had a lot more meetings than just the board meetings. You know, I had all these committee meetings, and I don't know how we could have one once a week. I really don't.
I'm not asking for once a week, but twice a month. Well, I was never cut from twice a month. It's down to once a month. I just feel that it's a way of keeping the public far away. We have another one this month.
Yeah. Well, I know we have another one this month, so that should make you happy.
Okay, that's this month. What about the other months?
Well, I know that the law states
Once every 2 months.
every two months.
Exactly, and there's I just feel shut at and pushed. If this Freehold Regional High School District has never made me feel warm and fuzzy.
Well, I apologize if we made you feel cold and prickly.
There should be more than once a month.
Well, we do,
Majority of the time.
we do, when we feel they're warranted, we've had more than once
It
a
has been
month.
twice.
In the summer, we really don't need.
Twice a month.
No, we did at the beginning, you're right.
It's ridiculous that a region this large not only have once a month meetings.
Okay, well, thank you for the answer. Is there anyone else who didn't sign the sheet? Just state your name and where you're from.
Max, I go to Coles Neck from Marlboro. I'm going to take a topic a little less serious than everyone else. I'm sorry. I know we can use our snow days this year, and I want to know what happens to those. Like, I've known previous years that that Memorial Day weekend, or come off the end of the school year. I'm just curious as well.
Max, what's your last name?
Cohen?
Okay, I can answer that question. I'm really happy to tell you that you will be getting an extra day added on to the Memorial Day weekend.
Cool.
See what you did. See what you did.
Max, I hope I raised my popularity points.
Is it Friday or Tuesday?
Yeah, which way do you go?
That we're looking to see if there are any proms that are scheduled on Friday or Tuesday. We want to just look at what's scheduled that evening in all the 6 buildings before we make that determination. We should know by this week.
Every parent is a house. It's ridiculous to have more than we do. Go tell them to change.
My name is Danny Banks, and I go to Colts Neck High School. And in Colts Neck High School, I attend the Long Public Service Learning Center. And in most of my classes, we discuss politics. And generally, we're very open with how we speak and what we speak about. But lately, I've been feeling less comfortable in almost every single one of my classes expressing my political opinion. And the reason this is because on most teachers' desks, there's a magnet. And on the magnet, it has Chris Christie's face on it, and it says, public schools supported him, something along the lines of that. Now, I don't understand why a teacher is allowed to express any public opinion whatsoever. If that were to say something about pro-life, pro-choice, just because it has to do with schools doesn't mean she's allowed to enforce what she believes on the sticker and make me feel like I'm not, that my opinion isn't wanted. Now, I've addressed this multiple times, 3 times in all my classes, and every time I've said something, my teachers' faces have turned red. Not because they're uncomfortable with the situation or what I'm saying, but because they know that it's wrong. Now, this sticker is provided by the union. I can't understand why they're allowed to do this. If they're not allowed to, or if they're not supposed to, or if they're not recommended to express their public opinion, I don't know why they're allowed to have this sticker on their desk. And I would recommend that all of you look into it and do something about it to make the students feel safer.
Okay, Carol, I want you to watch this. I want to get a legal opinion. By the way, that was really well put.
I really need to hedge a little bit because I don't know enough facts, but the general proposition is that there should be no proselytizing by teachers in a classroom concerning their own political views.
Thank you.
Danny, what year in school are you?
I'm a sophomore.
Well, let me know if you're going to go to law school.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Secretary, just wanted to leave you with some contact information. Sure.
Yes, great, thank you.
Before we go any further, I know there was a schedule for interviews for the lawyers, for law firms, on the 16th, and we have put that off because a number of members, I think almost half of the committee that chose the groups of lawyers are no longer with us. So we feel it's only fair and right and just that the new members get all the information and that we go from there. So the 16th will not be the interview of the law firms. Just wanted to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, next up, we have approval of routine action items. We have H1 to H6, and I know that Mary Ann asked me if we could take it one at a time.
I'm fine.
You're okay? Because I was just going to say taking it one at a time. I don't know if I get home in time to let my dog out. Okay, so here we go. H1 to H6, discussions. I'm sorry, I blew up Robert's rules. 1 second.
Before you do that, if I could ask Mr. Edelstein if you could just restate the changes that you had mentioned earlier.
I will, and this is something that will really become part of the motion to approve the personnel agenda. Mr. Boyce read a number of names earlier, and what all those names have in common is that they are non-bargaining unit employees. And to reiterate what's occurring tonight, the board is reappointing those non-bargaining unit employees, but at the exact same compensation that they are at currently. In other words, no increase in percentage, no increase in longevity, no increase in anything. Exactly where they stand today. It's up to the board to determine in the future whether they wish to consider adjustments to those individual salaries, and if so, what those adjustments might be. But for the purpose of this evening's action, the non-unit employees are reappointed with absolutely no change in their compensation.
And if you recall, there was also 2 minor changes, one on page 9 and one on page 29 that I had mentioned earlier. Motion, second discussion.
Okay, we have a motion for H1 to H6. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Boyce, could you call the roll?
Mr. Acetola?
Yeah, Sean, I'm going to vote yes on H1, H2, H3, H4, abstain from H5, and yes on H6.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
Mr. Boyce, yes to everything present, but not taking action on the assistant superintendent, principals, assistant principals, and supervisors of extracurricular activities.
Thank you, Mrs. Canario.
Yes on all.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes, except for the secretary with my name, Judith Lawson, for her immediate supervisors, James Burns, Warren Leidenheimer, and Pat LaGravis, for their immediate supervisors, Jason Schimpf and Sean Boyce, and for Suzanne Kaler. Voting present but taking no action.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomazic?
Yes on all except for H5 because I was not present for that discussion.
Mr. Moses?
Yes. Okay, next is I-1 through I-4. We have a motion?
With a motion, if I could, also, as I mentioned earlier, I-5, the approval to participate in the Special Education Medicaid Initiative, the sending program. So I-1 through I-5.
Okay, I'm sorry. I-1 through I-5, I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second it.
And Liz. Discussion? Mr. Boyce, will you call the roll?
Mr. Acetola?
Yes on I-1 through I-5.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
Yeah.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomazic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes. Okay, next we have K1 through K8. I'm sorry, K1 through K8.
Move.
Second it.
Discussion? Mr. Boyce?
Mr. Acetola?
Yes on all.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario?
Yeah.
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Mr. Lawson?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Messinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Sutera?
Yes.
Mrs. Tomazic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes. Okay, next we have L1 as listed in the agenda to be approved with the following exceptions. Okay, I'm sorry. L1 as listed in the agenda be approved with the following exceptions.
I'm sorry. Mr. Moses, just a clarification, if you look at the actual motion on L1, it's for the professional conferences and workshops.
Okay. We have a motion for L1. Second?
Second.
Yeah, you could put it before you go every second.
I have a question.
Okay, Jen.
Just for clarification, if it's Title II funding, we pay for it first and then Title II pays us back, or Title I, with some of these, Title II funding, like Stephen Moramako, his conference was 11.
Yes, so Title II, all of the NCLB, all the federal programs are on a reimbursement basis, so it's, the order of events is apply, award, spend, reimburse.
Reimburse, okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
That Mrs. Evangelista should know this.
Excuse me?
Mrs. Evangelista should really know this grant. She should be able to answer.
I'm sorry, we're in the middle of the motion.
I said it would be nice if
Mr. Beck?
we could have directed the question to Mrs. Evangelista because this really falls under professional issues, curriculum.
That would have been a lot better if you would have said that before we were in the motion. But I would be more than happy to talk to you afterwards. Yes? Who had a question? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike?
No, actually, my question was similar to Ms. Santera in terms of getting reimbursed. You know, because you look at the thing, they went to a conference in Princeton for $1,200. Why is it so much money?
Well, it's 3 days. It's a 3-day conference.
I don't know where the answer to that is, because Mr. Boyce said it doesn't come through his office.
It's a registration. It's open where? Yeah, it's 3 days.
I'm sorry. Okay. Michael, I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry about that. L1, discussion? No discussion? Okay. Mr. Ports?
Mr. Acetola?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Canario? Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Messinger?
No.
Mrs. Zutera?
Yes.
Ms. Tomasic?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes. Okay, old business? Seeing none. New business?
I would like to make a statement.
Yes, sure.
I would like to take the time to thank everyone who helped me get elected. I do not take this position lightly, and I'm humbled and honored to serve as Freehold Township's representative. I would also like to thank all the administrators and the board members who have reached out to me over the past week. I was able to attend the Freehold Township vs. Howell freshman boys lacrosse game on Saturday, and it is truly amazing to see our students in action. The game ended up in double overtime, and the support from the parents and community members was something to see. I encourage everyone to come out and support our students with your presence, whether it is at a sports game or a music concert or a cultural celebration. In everything we do, we must remember that at the heart of it all, we're here to support our young adults. That being said, I would like to make one final and very important thanks to the teachers that have helped me get to this point. As many of you know, I graduated from Freehold High School in 2006, which was only 5 years ago. And indeed, was it not for the excellent education I received then, I would not be here today. While we may have dynamic discussion and at times disagreements, know that back in the classrooms, there are amazing teachers who are preparing students to achieve more than they could imagine. Thank you.
And as a past teacher, not yours, Marianne, I want to thank you for this.
Can I ask a question?
Before you
go,
I don't think we're allowed to do that, but
you did not respond to my question, so you normally answer it at the end. But you have not responded on my question, whether the bills you will put it online from.
And all I can say to you is right now, I'll find out for you.
Okay. And one more question, when you discuss whether you're going to grant the raises to the administration, would you make it known to the public?
It'll be on the agenda.
It'll be on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Look at that.